Pneumatica, Book 1, by Aaron Welborn and Aaron Knight.
Telisa and Theron. Chapter 2. Dim rays of light filtered through the chinks in the corrugated metal slats of Puppet's garage. Dust particles floated lazily in the illuminated paths cutting through the room, making it feel as if time flowed more slowly in this bygone place. The air was dry, but it was cooler than outside, a welcome respite to the conditions they'd suffered these last months. A small fan in the corner whined as it oscillated, bathing the space in momentary pockets of breeze, just enough to make breathing bearable. The smell of fresh tortillas, chorizo, and eggs wafted over Telisa as she sat nursing something that resembled coffee. She was suddenly reminded of how hungry she was. Puppet was connected. This was lavish by Outlander standards. Only citizens could afford eggs, and coffee was unheard of outside the arcologies. One of the many benefits of being vetted, verified, and vaccinated. Goods still had to be transported, though, and sometimes luxuries like coffee never made it to their intended destinations. Sometimes resourceful individuals like Puppet and his cousins turned the tables, and those who chose to live free outside the authoritarian confines that came with citizenship could enjoy moments of living the way their parents and grandparents had before the sundering. The sacrifice that was made by Puppet and his family was not lost on Telisa. 2 eggs and a cup of steaming whatever the heck was no small thing to give up, especially for someone you didn't know. Each sip, each bite contained within it the story of the risk and the cost of acquiring even the most meager provisions outside Enclave-sanctioned society. It was the story of those who refused to conform to the controlling designs of sinister minds, of those who refused to become the servants of tyrants and thieves. Puppet sipped his cup and looked at Telisa, watching her dash homemade hot sauce on her eggs and mix the chorizo into the yolk. She took a small, slow bite, savoring it. She caught him staring, looked up at him and grinned, still chewing. "Thank you," she said. "We don't get much in the way of fresh food, especially something this good." Puppet returned the grin and raised his coffee cup in toast. "No need to apologize, Ninera. Just admiring the real you. All I know of you is your voice." Puppet took a sip and continued with a mock radio announcer's voice. "The voice of the resistance." He chuckled at his own joke. Telisa sat quietly for a moment, slowly inhaling the steam from the cup she cradled close to her lips. "What is this? It tastes good, but it isn't coffee, is it?" Puppet grinned. "Shrooms, sister. You're drinking mushrooms. Lion's mane and turkey tail, mostly with some yerba mate from Brazil for some extra punch. Coffee is controlled by the Enclave. Only for 9th-level citizens and above, see? We tried hitting one of their convoys a few years back, and they roasted every Outlander village within a 100-mile radius in retaliation." Puppet paused with pain in his eyes, then forced a grin and continued. "Now we grow mushrooms. It's better for you anyway." Telisa looked down at her cup, letting the gravity of it all sink in. People have a way of recycling their history. The Babylonians, the Romans, the East India Company, Nazi Germany, they all had the same methods. They each marched to the same step across the backs of free people. Make the world roam. Conform or die. Assimilate or be cast out. Security equals happiness. The common good equals morality. The promises are always the same. But empires care little for promises, or the lives that those promises destroyed on their march toward the realization of their grand vision. She paused, taking a long, slow gulp of the steaming brew. She sat there collecting her thoughts, filtering them, trying to drive home what she was always trying to say, but could never find the right words for. The history books have all been rewritten, and if they succeed in cleansing us from the Outlands, the truth of it all will be gone within a generation. There will be no one left to remind people that they were once born free. Telisa looked out the small window above the sink as the sun bathed the salvage yard in merciless heat. "This knowing is the fire in my voice, the conviction in my message. I don't have the option of quitting this fight. People have to know they were meant to be born free, to know that they did not owe their lives and souls to corporations and profit margins, that they aren't a commodity to be bought and traded for the benefit of a few." Telisa readjusted in her chair. Just take a moment to consider the last few decades. After the starvation, rampant disease, wars, riots, and wholesale death, that our governments and now the megacorp governing bodies that rule the world have used against the people. They've just gotten used to it. How much are you willing to put up with for the illusion of security and the illusion that you're being taken care of, cared for, heard, represented? You want to believe that you matter in some way, but you know the truth. You don't matter. At all. Not your family, not your dreams, not who you really are as a person, and especially not what you believe in so deeply. You don't matter to these people at all, and you never did. She continued, "It has nothing to do with privilege. That's just another lie they sell us. By controlling the language, they control our perception. They're telling you that your birthright is a privilege they can bestow on you, or take away. Our parents, most of them, gave away our rights and mortgaged our futures before we were ever born. True, there may be no going back, but that only means that we have to change things going forward. My mom was the second DJ Maquis. Her father was the first." Telisa paused in momentary reverie. The idea was simple. Uncover the truth, use it like a virus, free as many as you can. Like they say, you can't save the world, but you can save a few.